Yo, yo, yo. I see Tom. I see Dave. I see millions of people watching Not the Smartest Guys, listening to Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Tom, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, buddy. I'm doing great. Having a good morning so far. So far, so good. Got to swim in. Got to go do a bike ride later. But yeah, got my swim done this morning. Got back, had a little breakfast, so I don't have to eat on camera for once. I can spare you and everybody else from having to watch me shove food in my face because of all the obsessive exercising that I do. So yeah, I am going to keep drinking coffee though, because you can't stop me from doing that. But yeah, that's otherwise it's a good day. How are you doing?
Well, you look good. I'm glad you're here. My hat's a little off center. I got to figure this out here at some point. Well, I had an iced coffee this morning. I went to Steep Mountain, Tom. Woo, this thing was good. I mean, it had, I don't know all the flavors it had in it, but I'm shot out of a cannon because it was so good. It was icy. It had like this much froth, and I'm not a froth guy, and I just blended it right in. So then I stopped at McDonald's, had two sausage burritos. So I'm living my best life today. I'm back.
I so I've never had a sausage burrito from McDonald's.
Oh God, this is a sausage burrito at McDonald's is near perfection. So they're like this, they're very small. They're about 4 inches. They're wrapped pretty tight. Sausage, cheese, you put some sauce on it. A sausage burrito from McDonald's, and you usually buy two. They are amazing, Tom. So treat yourself, figure it out, and you'll be your next marathon you'll run, you'll be taking half hour off your time.
I got to tell you, I think I mean, first of all, I don't eat a lot of fast food. Just generally, like it's just not there isn't a lot of fast food around where I live. So I'd have to like go drive 20 minutes or a half an hour to go get the fast food. So I'd really have to want it. And we've gotten in the habit of like taking food with us on road trips, like to make it easier, for the drive and stuff. So like we got to bring food for the kid anyway. Might as well bring food for ourselves. So I genuinely I don't remember the last time I had McDonald's. It's been a minute. But I'll tell you what, one of my favorite ever fast food breakfast items. It was when I was working on a show in North Carolina, and they would go and get from try to remember. I don't think it wasn't Chick-fil-A. It was another like sort of fried chicken chain place. But they would go and get these chicken biscuits in the morning, and they were like these like half size, like small, like slider size chicken biscuits with a piece of fried chicken on them, and then they would drizzle a little honey on the fried chicken. So it would be like fried chicken, so salty and then sweet from the honey and then buttery from the biscuit. And man, like I could just house those things. Like just without a care in the world, especially like, I was this was a number of years ago, and we'd go out and have a good night and have a couple of drinks. And like, man, the morning after you've been out, whooping it up with some folks and having a bunch of drinks, like chicken biscuits, fried chicken biscuits, man, with some honey on them. It's like, it's that hot coffee. Like, yeah, it's just the best thing in the world. So good. So good.
Hey man, I could go all day about fried chicken and uh, syrup on them. So we we can't do it because it could be a whole nother show, a series we do about fried chicken. Today, Tom, on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. I don't even know if I said this is Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, but today on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, I want to talk, and Tom allowed me, about the new A list, the new list of impact makers, change makers. The fact that I saw, I'm going to read it here. Backrooms, Kane Parsons, a YouTuber, creates a movie with a budget of $10 million. It does $148 million. It's Backrooms. And then you mentioned another one, Tom. So this thought that what some people at one point thought was couldn't happen. You can't enter this world of creation and people watching. There's only way to enter is through Warner Brothers because they got the box. But I see my wife watching videos of a pilot telling you what to look for when you're flying, and she treats this guy like he's Tom Hanks, or she's telling me about some lady who makes food quick, and here's how she does it, and she talks like this. So I believe there's a new change makers, influencers, impact makers, and they did it a completely different way. And I wanted to bring that topic up to you and see, can we duplicate it? Is it an anomaly, or what's the thought, Tom?
Yeah, so I definitely have some thoughts on this. I think it is sort of, rather than like a shift change in the environment, right? Which is, I think, how like this is sort of being framed by some people, that like, oh no, this came out of nowhere. Like, what's going on? I'm not surprised at all, right? This doesn't shock me. This doesn't surprise me. I believe that this is the inevitable conclusion, right? The sort of the place where we end up, based on the fact that the traditional media industry and ecosphere has been white knuckling on to their old business models for the better part of the last decade and plus, right? So like decade and a half, the last 15 years or so, since like 2010, 2011, they have just been like doubling and tripling down on their old business model, on their old advertising based business model in terms of broadcast. And then same thing, in the film industry, what we've seen basically is this very strong reticence towards new ideas, right? And new properties. All they want is something that has already established that it can make money, and then they just want to make the same thing over and over and over again, right? And so what I think we're seeing is sort of the inevitable result of that behavior, and that is people are dying for new stuff, right? People want to go to the movies and see movies that are not the 40-second iteration of the same story, right? They want to go to the movies and see not another Marvel movie, right? They want to go and see not another Batman movie. They want to go and see not another Superman, not another Avengers, not another Iron Man, right? Like whatever the case may be, they want to go see something new and something different. And that's where I think the space really opens up. And production companies like A24 have been really smart. I think, going back to a few years back, to the SAG, AFTRA, and writer strikes, A24 was one of the first studios to reach an agreement with the WGA and to reach an agreement with SAG-AFTRA, to be able to move forward. And they were really smart to do it. And one of the ways that they did it was by working with new upcoming artists and new upcoming directors and writers and actors, right? That had something new to offer. They saw an opportunity in creating new properties, right? In creating new, creative, interesting stories, and said, yeah, that's what we want to do, because that's exactly what the traditional studio infrastructure is not doing, right? They're not doing anything new because they're afraid of new, they're afraid of change. And I think that is, sort of the direct result of this this shift in how media is consumed, and the lack of control and oversight they have over what people choose to watch, because you can't just limit it to originally it was like 4 broadcast networks, right? And then it became cable, and there was like 100 channels or whatever, but still there was a relatively tight lid and control over what people could watch. And now it's been completely democratized. All of those barriers have been broken down, and it's kind of a free-for-all. People can just watch whatever they want to watch, whenever they want to watch it, wherever they want to watch it. And so you're in this situation where these traditional studios are going, but we're in charge, and the audiences are going, guys, you're not in charge anymore. We're in charge, and we're going to tell you what we want to watch. And that's exactly what we're seeing at the box office with this film Backrooms, that is sort of an extension of this individual creator. You said his name before, it escapes me now, Kieran or something like that. but it's an extension of the universe that he's built on YouTube. And then the other film that you mentioned that we were going to talk about, Obsession, was directed by a YouTube successful YouTube creator and comedian. And so yeah, so people are dying for new stuff. They're dying for interesting things that surprise them, things that make them feel something, right? Other than nostalgia. Nostalgia is great, but it doesn't work 24/7. And that's what we're starting to see with, particularly with film studios, is they've been overly relying on nostalgia, and people's love for a particular franchise, and not bringing anything new to the table. And it's starting to bite them in the butt. It's just, that's what's going on.
Tom, well said all around, my friend. I'm loving this shift, and I'm banking my career on whether this love for AI and things like that. I'm banking my career on people. Stories matter. People want to hear stories. People want to tell stories. People connect through stories. And as a publisher of books, all the people I work with, one of the things we've committed to over the years, I always say, and you helped me with this. What are you really doing, Dom? What are you really doing? Developing stories that elevate humanity. Every story, every author I work with has to be a story that makes you think. I'm looking behind me, whether it's Sonia Chan talking about what it's like to be on the spectrum. And now I see a little dog behind me that ran away for 21 days after a hurricane. It got blown away and then came back. Here's a story of a dog that came back after being blown away in a hurricane. And there's hope in that story. And so now I'm seeing, Tom, as the storytellers come, if it is developing stories that elevate humanity. Now there's stories about grief. There's stories about overcoming abuse. There's stories about subjects that maybe were taboo, but the world needs to talk about them. We should talk about these things. They help people. They facilitate conversations. It's something new. It's something different. And I'm seeing my belief in this is, if we keep doing this, we can make an impact. We can make a difference. I see the authors all of a sudden when they're making their videos and stuff like that, people watching, more people watching, them getting more opportunities, them getting bigger stages. It's what is going on. Like you said, people have a choice now. They don't have to just do what they used to do. Like my wife, if she wants to watch about a pilot telling you what to look for on a plane when you get in and what a pilot should have done, that's her choice. And all of us have this choice, and now people are exercising that option. So let's get around this room here. We got Holly and Dr. Tachi on the stage. Anybody else want to come up? Come on up. Holly, where are you putting your eyes these days? Are you seeing a different influence in your life, a different impact? Did you move away from Tom Cruise to maybe a YouTuber or somebody on TikTok or something like that? Go on, Holly.
Good morning, everyone. I love this shift in conversation today. As y'all were talking, I was thinking about it because that's not something I've really thought about. But with the influencers taking, and I say taking over, that's kind of my opinion, but away from the Hollywood actors, I think a lot of it is based on, I can go on to social media or YouTube or, something online and find something specific that meets my needs. Like you were talking about your wife with the pilot. If I'm, right now I'm working in my yard and, into my gardening and all that. And I can like hop online and find exactly what I need from an influencer that has done research, has, paved the way. And it takes me very little time to figure out what I need. What is this bug that's eating the leaves? What is, or whatever it is that I'm needing at the time. And I find that very helpful and so that's where I tend to spend most of my time if and when I'm on social media looking. And it's influencers, they're selling whatever it is that I need to use for whatever it is I'm looking for. And I think the fact that it's so specific and I can find it quickly, that it's just very appealing, as opposed to looking up to an actor or an actress from, when I was a kid. I did look up to actors and actresses, but I had no idea really what their values were. It was their career, and the persona that they put forward. And so I think that's where I see a difference, and I kind of like it.
Holly, I love the direction you took this, and it makes me start to wonder. One, Holly's saying choice. We all want choice in our lives. And I remember when I was at my parents' house when I was 10 years old, we had 10 stations, and then maybe we got HBO on channel 11, Fraggle Rock. We had 11 choices. My whole life was around 11 choices. Or you could go outside or in the other room. No, that was all my choices. Now we have unlimited choices. What all of us really want, Tom, I'm taking this a whole different direction. What all of us really want is free will. I can do whatever I want. I can make whatever choice I want, and I'm no longer beholden to a big studio. If I want to watch Tom's content, I can watch Tom's content. If I want to watch Dr. Tachi talking about what's going on in pop culture, I can watch it. No longer am I limited to those 13 channels. So, what say you, Tom?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I totally agree. I also think that what's interesting is, uh, in addition to not being beholden to those channels, what the other thing that this sort of opens up is the opportunity to really target your specific audience, right? I mean, it used to be that the only way to reach an audience that you wanted to reach was kind of a spray and pray method, right? Like you had to, if you were going to try to get content out to them, you had to do it sort of, through advertising, through paid media, on, cable or broadcast channels, right? And that was, you're sort of, throwing it out and hoping that it hit some of the right people that you wanted to reach, right? And then with the advent of social media, you were able to do kind of hyper targeting with your advertising and things like that, your sponsored posts, whatever. And that got a little bit better, but now you have the opportunity not only to create advertising content that reaches the specific audience you want to reach, but entertainment content that reaches the specific audience you want to reach. And I think that is the place where this gets really interesting, right? Where this really has a lot of opportunity, not just for creators, right? But for businesses and brands, right? Instead of doing, a product placement in a big box, a big studio movie, why don't you, right? And spending a couple of $1 million to do something like that, right? Like to be Pepsi or whatever. Why don't you spend $1 million or $2 million or $3 million and provide the principal funding to make the movie, right? Like, why don't you become, as a brand, an executive producer of a film that you believe in, that you want to be associated with anyway? Like, why would you do that? Why would you leave it up to some other studio where you don't really have any control? You don't have any creative input. You can't steer it. You can't make sure that it gets put in front of your audience, right? If you want to reach your audience, make something they want to watch and put it in front of them, right? And that's look, that's what I've been trying to do. Like, that's what my focus has been since I left the entertainment industry, really. But specifically, over the last few years since I wrote Legendeering, I mean, that's what Legendeering is all about, is make something your audience wants to watch and put it in front of them, give it to them, right? And just tie your brand to it. It seems, to me, it's a no-brainer. You'd be surprised how much of a brainer it is for some of the companies that I talk to. But to me, it seems like a no-brainer. It just seems obvious. Like, yeah, duh, do it. Like, you have the opportunity that you've never had before in the history of media to create these properties and deliver them directly to the people you want to deliver them to. Why aren't you doing it? So yeah, I don't know. That's where my head goes.
I'm loving this conversation. Thank you all for being here. Not the smartest guys in the room. Dr. Tachi, do you want to weigh in on these new impact makers, the new A-list? What do you think, my friend?
Good morning. Of course, I want to weigh in on this because this is my whole platform lately. I wanted to speak to what Tom said about spray and pray. And just for people who may not know, that's actually the concept of what original television and radio was supposed to be. It's this whole spreading of information or seeds far and wide, which is why we use the term broadcasting. It's actually an agricultural term, and we've applied it to the world of media. So that's where broadcasting came from. But now we're moving into this, away from this large mass audience concept, as you all were talking about, to niches, which is so special because now, as Holly was saying, you can find exactly what you want, exactly who you want, and the people that you want to experience that with. And you're experiencing it with people, as opposed to watching something that is a tube that is passive. You can yell at the television all you like. Nobody's going to say anything back to you. And more often than not, unless it's news, it's not live. It's pre-recorded and then played live, or live to tape, as it is called. So, but now things like this, you're asking our opinion. People like to be considered. People are like, oh, I'm special. You are, the audience is special. And the fact that you can do something live, know where they're from, know what they do, ask their opinion, is really, to me, where this is going. Even if it's pre-recorded, you look on YouTube, people make comments and creators often answer back. That's what the new quote unquote TV is. The other thing is that, in addition to having influencers that are studios, and us, because we're studios too, all of us create content. Brands are influencers. So I know Tom talked about this before, I believe, but you've got brands that are creating their own content and not having the need to solely advertise on traditional television. Crocs is a good example of this. Years ago, when I went to Social Media Week New York in 2012, Chipotle was doing this early. They had a whole cereal that they created, and they showed us, they previewed it at Social Media Week, and of course they gave us all like $20 uh, what is it, gift cards to Chipotle. So that was advertising for them, but they were also creating content. So brands like Chipotle were doing this early. So we're seeing now brands are becoming their own studios, bypassing solely advertising on traditional media outlets. And then the last thing is, I have personal anecdotes. You don't know who's watching you as you're creating content. People are watching, because now, people, there's been the scam people who will approach you with like, hey, we're doing that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I've actually had like 3 legitimate things. I got invited to, there's an influencer that I watch who's a fashion influencer. She started a line of sunglasses. I got invited to the activation they did during Art Basel here in Miami, which I was like, me? Wow. And I've been approached by 2 other legitimate brands to do content and things with them. So people are watching, even if you don't know. So just keep making content if what you desire is collaborations and partnerships. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
I love it, Dr. Tachi. I mean, I think, you're right on. You never know who's watching. And I think if you do listen to your audience, if you read those comments, if you accept their feedback and you act on it, we have this sort of unique ability to create content that we know people want to watch. And there's a YouTube channel that I watch all the time. It's a British, cooking, food focused channel called Sorted Food. And they are constantly saying in their content, in their videos, tell us in the comments if you want to see more of videos like this. Tell us in the comments if you want to see this. Tell us in the comments about your experience with X, Y, and Z, right? They're actively encouraging their audience to give them feedback so that they can continue to customize and tailor the content for their audience, which I think is really smart and kind of obvious. But it's something that creators get inherently. but it's something that brands and businesses are completely sleeping on and missing the boat. Broadly speaking, right? There are individual exceptions, and I talk about these in my newsletter all the time. The people that are getting it right, that are doing the right things, that are communicating effectively. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the case that a lot of people are just missing the boat, just completely missing the boat. But if you want to make content, just keep making it, and people will watch.
Can I say one more quick thing? I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. When we're making content, all of us, of course, the goal is we're not just making it for ourselves, we're making it for an audience. But I think what's happening, particularly we see this amongst influencers too, we're too quick to use these platforms only as a means to get on traditional television. That's not all of us, but that's some of us. And also audiences have to change their mindset in terms of this being the new form of information, entertainment, education, etc. Because what I'll see underneath comments of people have made great stuff is like, oh my gosh, this is great. At Netflix, you should put them on. Now, this is not a rebuke to Netflix or traditional corporate media. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, you're here watching my stuff now. Why are you saying what I'm doing is not good enough? So we have to stop doing that, both as audience members and as creators.
Yeah, I hear to that for sure. I mean, look, you don't need, and I catch myself doing this all the time, Dr. Tachi. So like, thank you for calling it out. I catch myself being impressed by sort of somebody's appearance on legacy media as a signal that they've like, quote unquote, made it. And the truth is, it's really not anymore. If anything, it's a sort of commentary on the fact that legacy media is perpetually trying to keep up with other kinds of media, right? They're perpetually trying to keep up with social media platforms and digital platforms like YouTube, right? They're and even streamers like Netflix. They're perpetually playing catch up and trying to remain relevant. And so I think maybe we should take it that way instead. That look, there's nothing wrong with appearing on legacy media, but it is no longer a signal that you've made it. And being successful, outside of legacy media is just as valuable as being featured on legacy media.
Tom, this is exactly where I wanted to go with this conversation today. So when I talk about my wife watching the pilot tell you about things for the plane, or here we sit watching, like I watched Gary Vee for years, Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't have a TV show. I buy Gary Vee's books. I watch him on social media. To me, Gary Vaynerchuk was a rock star, larger than life. And I went to Book Expo a couple years ago at the Jarvis Center, and they would have like these main stages with like Kevin Hart, Al Roker, who and they'd be all these people up there signing autographs. And then sometimes like a independent publisher would have the romance author or the fantasy author or the teen beat author, and the line was going around the building. So the person that we thought was, in this realm of, well, they're on legacy media, they have a movie. When the eyes came down to it, and when the line showed, the line was to, I'm like, oh, who's this? It's a 20-year-old kid that wrote about love, and teenage love. And they had the biggest line in the whole building and wrapped around, and people were like so excited to meet and take a picture with them. I'm like, who is that? Well, to a large portion of the population, the interest was to that person. So in this conversation today, I want to just double down on that. Well, why? If the eyes are there, or to Holly's point, if the interest is somewhere, my dad is in landscaping. He has a nursery. You know how many people go out to the nursery over the years and love the leaves on the plant, or to hear my dad talk about arbor, whatever he's talking, horticulture. They're in love with the little buds on the plant. That's their interest. And are they wrong? No, they're not wrong. That's their passion. That's their choice. That's their free will. So Have at it. Jason, we got Jason, and then we're going to Tom Stums. Jason, who's doing it right out there? Who's grabbing your attention? What are they doing? Go on, my friend. Welcome.
Well, there's not one particular station that really stands out so much more that what they're doing that I'm not doing already. So it's a couple of areas. My interests are right now the outdoors, going camping, getting out, getting unplugged, um, finding fulfillment in doing outdoor things and not being influenced by any one particular idea. So when I watch, say, like YouTube or TikTok or something like that, a lot of times I'm watching guys like the Outdoor Boys. Their station has pretty much gone dormant since the main creator Luke, I can't I can't remember his last name, but him and his boys, they go outdooring in Alaska and other places, and he shows you literally like, hey, this is the dangers of being outside, this is the, and talking about how to build a shelter and if you're caught in a bad spot. So I like that kind of stuff. And then I actually like watching your bike rides. I like seeing people get out and ride, and I do watch your station. I should be making more comments, um but what I like about your show with your friend Dom is like you guys go on a ride and then you see something, a signal, a place, or a thing, or a particular area that's of interest. And it's like anybody can go to these things. And it's like, well, wait a second. So I look for those kinds of things, to be honest. But when I don't want to be in brain rot or I want some ASMR, I watch like SB Mowing or Midlife Stockman. These are guys who go mow lawns and take care of properties where people don't have help or abandoned properties, and they clean up the community. So to me, my influencers are not the typical influencers. So, and it's, I have to be mindful of any influencer has a perspective, but there's also a level of BS. And when it's BS, you'll notice right away, if you're keen to it, of you should do that, you have to do this, and this, like, a perfect example, this influencer was selling like a barbecue grill scraper, right? It had like these kind of wire brush end, and it's motorized, and I'm like, that looks like a piece of junk to me. Because anyone who grills knows that you got to do care on your grill, whether gas or not. And this guy was selling this thing, and I'm like, and I see him, and I'm like, wait a second, what's to stop me getting my power drill and just getting a bit with the wire brush at the end of it? And I was like, wait a second, I found exactly by looking up YouTube where to find the right brush for the grill and get the results I really want. And then I look in the comments, and that influencers sell in his post, and people are like, BS, this is a piece of junk, it doesn't work well, there's more you need to know. And I'm just like, so be the observer, be mindful of the messenger. And what is the purpose of your consumption? Be mindful of your consumption. I end there.
Jason, thanks, man. That's a good point. Watching people, the people that you're watching, as we trust them, all of a sudden you could ruin your whole brand if you start selling a grill brush. Or sometimes I have some communities, and one of the things I've never done, Tom, I don't think is ever exploited community, and meaning selling something you don't really believe in, like that, like Ray-Ban, like Ray-Ban sunglasses, or a magical patch or something like that. I think, Jason, to Jason's point, if you're going to endorse something, you better make sure you believe in it. Now, on that note, something I believe in, and everybody believes in here, that's ever been here today. Uh, this is Tom Stums, one of our favorite segments where we ask Tom about something in media, and he gives us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and nothing in between. Tom, me and my buddy Jim Ajay were talking about this morning, and we wanted to lay up a softball for you. So, and I'm going to try to phrase this the best I can. I'm noticing a lot of advertisements, and my friend Jim is too. We're noticing a lot of advertisements look the same on social media. The text looks the same, almost like they're using the same formula to post about what they're saying, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in media, whether it's selling grill brushes, like Jason just talked about. Thumbs up or thumbs down, do you think we should be doing the same because maybe that's good and everybody else is doing it? Or should we be doing something different, Tom? What say you?
So this is tough because I think it depends on the context and exactly what you mean by should we do the same, right? Should all advertising look the same? Like, is that the question? Or should an industry reuse something that seems to be working for them?
Okay. So, and I'm going to go at it a little more here. We're thinking a lot of people are using AI in the descriptions and their commentary in the post. It almost seems like so many people are using AI that they might be taking the other person's advertisement and saying, here's my business, insert this person's um, advertisement, reframe the words, and this is it. Maybe we're going to sell more because we used what all these other people were. Maybe we're not, but we need somebody like Tom to break that down for us.
Yeah. So actually, it's really interesting. Like, that you're asking me this question, because this is actually has a lot to do with what my newsletter the edition of my newsletter, Value First, that'll come out today, that I was actually writing yesterday, is about. And one of the things that it's about is there was recently a study conducted by Canva, and they were specifically looking at consumers' perception of advertising utilizing AI, right? And so they did a survey, and what they found was 68% of audiences, of consumers in this survey, are okay with the use of AI if it makes the ad more relevant to them, right? So that's the proviso is AI is okay. 68% of them said it was okay if it makes the ad more relevant to them. But in the same survey, the same group of people, 78% of them said they would prefer human-made, human-driven content over AI. So basically the distillation of that is they'll tolerate the machine, but what they really want is you. And so at the end of the day, the way I would extrapolate that out to answer your question and to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down in this case would be to say that absolutely you are doing yourself a disservice if you were paying an agency to create content for you utilizing the same templates that they are utilizing for other customers and clients, especially if those templates are AI driven, right? If those are AI templates, and I would argue that the agencies and the companies, the production companies that are creating that content, creating those ads, are doing their clients a disservice by charging them for them, because they are ultimately not going to work. They are going to fail fast. And that's not a good thing, like it is when you're sort of building or starting a business, that sort of failing fast idea that forces you to iterate and to solve problems is not good in advertising. You don't want your advertising to fail fast because you need a certain number of touch points before it finally lands and people start to act on it. So if you're on first viewing, if your ad is dismissed as AI slop, then guess what? No one's following through and no one's buying because of it. So you've wasted the money on the ad spend. You've wasted the money on the production. The agency that produced that content for you is essentially robbing you and taking advantage of your lack of understanding of how ineffectual those ads can be. And so for all of those reasons, this style of content production, this style of advertising absolutely gets a thumbs down from me.
There you go, Tom. Back to the nut man. We know, like, and trust, the one that gives a proper thumbs down. We don't want you getting too soft on us. You know,
Yeah, I know. I'm accused of that every time. Every time you ask me a question and it's something I actually think is good and I give it a thumbs up, every single time I get the, oh, Tom's going soft. Tom's a softy now. And then when I give a thumbs down, it's, oh man, Tom is such a hard ass. Like he's too tough on things and he's so judgmental and blah. So it's like, whatever. I can't win either way. I'll just keep doing what I do.
Good stuff, my friend. Okay, Jason had a question. Jason, ask your question, and I want you to ask it, and I'm going to give you an answer, and then go on. What do you got?
So, with what you guys mentioned, is AI killing imagination and curiosity? And the reason why I say is because there's a huge amount of population of people that are overly stressed, want a quick answer, want something to think for them, or voice out words. But I'm like, the obstacle always reveals the way. The obstruction always reveals the problem or the quandary. So is AI killing with influencers your imagination?
All right, I want to tackle that one. For a lot of people, yeah, that are looking for shortcuts. There's always people in life that are looking for every shortcut. They're looking for every easy way out. And then there's people that are thinking about bigger picture, thinking about being expansive, thinking about growing. Jason, when I was up at midnight last night using a new app to work on websites that different business ideas that I have. Replit was the app. I think that's what they call it. And I'm it's doing coding and stuff. I don't know jack about coding, man, but I know about like a good idea and I'm putting it in this thing, make it do this, make it do that, make it do that. I remember 20 years ago, I don't know if I ever told you guys, I had a website called successtrader.org. Before Motivation Champs that you see on my hat, it was before templates. It was before anything. It was like the roots of this. And I would write a story about Colonel Sanders and put it on this website. And then because I didn't know anything about coding, it would kill like the next day when somebody pushed the little button instead of getting an article about Colonel Sanders, it would go to nowhere. And then I'd write another article and it would go to nowhere. And then I'd write another article and it just didn't work. So the technology, like social media and things, and these apps, are making some people expansive with it. Like, give me that AI, and I'm gonna use it and grow from it. But I do agree if you're using it to circumvent the work, create an idea. Hey, create an idea for me. No, I got 1,000 ideas, man, and I'm saying take this idea and disseminate it and make it into this, this, and this. So I I see it. A lot of people killing them because they're giving up. They don't want to put in the work. I salute the people using it to grow. So Tom, you got an answer on that?
Yeah, I think, to answer your question, Jason, from my perspective, I think it all depends on how you use it, right? I think it's when people rely on AI or believe that AI is capable of and good at delivering a finished product, then yeah, I think it can be detrimental to, sort of imagination and creativity. I don't know about curiosity, but definitely imagination and creativity. But when you use it as an iterative tool, when you use it as a tool to accelerate the creative process, right, to accelerate your ability to rather than in the time it would take me to kind of think through and plan through and outline whatever, a script or an idea for a piece of content. If I can do that, if I can do 3 of those in the same time it used to take me 1 because I can use AI to accelerate that process, I think that's great. And I don't think it's detrimental to imagination or creativity. But if I turn to AI and I go, make me a thing, and then I just sort of accept whatever it gives me rather than pushing back, thinking critically about it and thinking creatively around, the sort of starting place that it gives me, then yeah, I think it can be detrimental. So I think it depends on how you use it. And I think as more people get more savvy at using it, then I think it'll be better. I think that's what we'll settle into, is people using it in more productive ways rather than sort of as a something that creates a finished product, because there's already so much pushback, right? I mean, all of us here, everybody listening, I'm sure, sees things, sees content, sees stuff out in the world that they know was AI generated, and they just instantly turn away from it, right? Because it's AI generated, because it's kind of uncanny valley, gross, a little bit weird, a little bit unsettling. So yeah, I think, the more as that kind of pushback, gains traction and people continue to sort of push back on the AI slop, then I think we'll settle into better use cases for it. But it can be detrimental, absolutely.
I'm going to steal that word, AI slaw. That's going to be in my vocabulary now.
Yeah, and it's a common thing, man. I'm seeing it all the time, and it's funny. We can have these conversations in this room. We do about the pros and cons of AI. Me and Tom are users. We might be use it just as much as anybody. So it is not a what would you say, like conflict of interest. It is not us being like disingenuous. It's us telling you, here's exact, I create first and then I disseminate. I write first and then I disseminate. Authors use and then they disseminate. Idea first, disseminate. It is never, like Tom said, create idea for me. What? No, I got the idea. And then I'm like, I have the outline, the blueprint, everything. And then I'm like, break down and then I use it for other points and things like that. Jolanta's here. Jolanta says she's using it. She used it in some film production. So quickly before we get to PSAs, Jolanta, what say you on the subject?
Thanks so much, Dominic. Hey, Tom. It's good to see you guys. It's been a little while. But yes, so I creatively use it as a creative partner to help me with my breakdowns and processes, because there are times when I'm doing pre-productions on film sets like I just did for this film feature. I don't have the time to be working on a spreadsheet. So why not create a workflow for myself that is going to cut the time in half, where I don't have to spend time pining over something. And I think it's all about how you're prompting at the end of the day, because you have to become your own prompter and utilizing different prompts that's going to help you get the results that you want, because you can customize and tailor your own AI to what you want to do. Because I was just invited by Meta to do something with one of their platforms, and I never thought I'd actually get invited by Meta to do this, but and it's not 100% because they saw I was building something in their app, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I'm actually part of a Toastmasters club where we talk about all things AI. It's not about being fearful of it, because I also talk to artists who use it. Yes, there are going to be ups and downs about copyright and creativity, but it's all about what you do at the end of the day with it. You don't have to be fearful of it, but you can explore with it to start and then go from there. Thanks, Tom, and good to see you guys.
Jolanta, glad to have you back. Fabulous photographer, and I've seen her film work. She's always out there hustling. So good stuff, Jolanta. And I think, Tom, what you talk about, the horses, Ford and the horses, where Henry Ford said, if I asked the public what they wanted, they would have said build faster horses. We are not afraid of AI, and like Jolanta said, don't be afraid of it. Use it, figure it out, but don't be relying on it. Don't let it take your place. Tom, are you ready for PSAs? You think you're ready to go, my friend?
I am. There's just one quick thing I wanted to say in the back of what you were just saying about AI, and that is one of the things that I find really interesting is we're starting to see. I saw an article recently. The CEO of Uber was talking about how they're not seeing the value in the spend that they're making on AI, that they've already gone through their entire annual budgeted expenditure for AI tokens this year. So by April, they had already burned through all the cash they had allocated for AI use, and they just don't see the value coming back. I think we're getting, day by day, minute by minute, we are approaching the point where this AI bubble, this artificial bubble, is going to burst, and then we're going to kind of settle into reality, right? Like, so all of this hype that we're hearing largely from AI CEOs and AI companies, especially people like Sam Altman, all this hype that we're hearing about how everything is AI, it's going to replace everyone's jobs, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. We're very quickly finding out that almost none of that is true. And a lot of it was sort of put out into the world to encourage people to spend more money on AI by the companies that would be collecting that money. Right. So it was a very clear like profit motivation. The more we can get people to believe that this is an inevitable future, the more money we can stand to make. And we're seeing that people are finally starting to smell BS and not actually listen. So yeah. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing that kind of shift change we're starting to see in the world when it comes to how people are using AI and what people are thinking about when it comes to AI. So anyway, yeah, without further ado though, we do have to do PSAs and we have to do a memory lane and a wrap up, and we've got 6 minutes left. So we got to get moving here.
We got about 8, so we're good to go here on this clock over here. Tom, you ready for a PSA? Let's see what you got today. Bring it on.
Yeah, all right, I'll go first. Cool. Here we go. All right, PSA clock coming up. All right, so everyone here who drives a car, everyone here who owns a car, you know that your car has brakes, right? Because you use them all the time. And so here's what I would say as someone who spends a lot of time out on the road, not in a car, either running, so technically as a pedestrian, or on a non-motorized vehicle like my bicycle. I'm out on the road almost every day. And just a quick little PSA, if you are driving down the street and you see someone running, or there's somebody on a bicycle and there's a car coming the other way, you know what you can do? You can push the pedal on the left, that's your brakes, slow down a little bit, and wait until the other car passes before you go around the runner or the person on the bike, so that you don't have to buzz them, so that you don't have to almost kill them, so that you can get to wherever you're going 3 seconds faster.
Tom, you know your PSA speaks to me, so I agree. Nothing makes me madder, man, than I've had my handlebars nipped before. I've went off into a little ditch on the side. I've been honked at, and it scares the hell out of me. If you honk at me, please, if you honk at me one of these days, I'm gonna snap. I'm telling you, I'm a good person, but I'm gonna snap.
Yeah, and for drivers too, like if you're if you see a cyclist and you want to let them know you're there, a little toot on the horn is fine. Do it well in advance. Do not wait until you are like right next to the cyclist, because if you startle somebody on a bike and they're already on the shoulder of the road and they wipe out, guess where they could end up? Under your car, right? So like don't startle us with your horn like as you go by. Not cool.
Right on, Tom. Right on. All right, set me up here. PSA. I'm ready to go. My PSA today is for creators. It's for people with a product that they are trying to sell, a business that they're branding. So many people think about the content they're going to post and they're like, I'm going to produce something today. What should I produce on Wednesday? What should I produce on Thursday? Tomorrow, I'm going to think of a creative idea and I'm going to produce it. I want you creators, people in this position, to document the business, document your life, document what's going on, document you traveling to the post office to mail your product, document you working in the office, document you cutting the grass, document you leaving a job that was successful. Document, and quit putting so much pressure on yourself to produce content. Rather, keep doing what you're good at, which is the business, and document you're doing it. That's it. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you really have been watching Gary Vee for a long time, huh? He's been beating that document drum for years. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and I just feel, what do you call it? Empath. I feel so much pain for people when they're trying. They're great at this business, whatever it is, and then they're like putting so much pressure into I'm going to create a full-scale production. They're not great at full-scale production. They're great at the business, selling real estate. Show me the house while you're walking around. Show me, my friend Jim's here. Show me the chains that you're selling. Show me that kind of stuff. Just document that rather than I'm going to produce and hire a whole team. No, you're not, because you need Tom to do that on your own. Turn the camera around and just show people what you're good at. So, yeah, Tom, I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I think one of the easiest places for people to get started with that kind of thing is to just practice talking to the camera, your phone, most likely, right? Practice talking to your phone or the camera like you're talking to a client or a friend, right? The same way that you would talk to a client or a friend. And in fact, if it helps you at all, the other thing I would suggest is get a friend to get on speakerphone with you, right? Keep them like, tell them not to talk, tell them to mute themselves, right? But put them on speakerphone and just talk to your friend, right? While you record yourself. There's a lot of ways to do it, but at the end of the day, the more you can sort of be relaxed and yourself and authentic and comfortable in how you present on camera, the better received it's going to be.
Tom, good stuff all around. This is really, this is not the smartest guys in the room. Enjoying the show. Thank you all for being here. The comments. We got more to do here. We got a memory lane. We got to wrap up here. So the comments have all been great, really facilitating the conversation. So thank you, because me and Tom, we would just be talking about us riding bikes the whole time if it wasn't for you and all the people side swiping us. So
or our favorite fast food breakfasts.
Yes,
whatever. I mean, you and I would just get, go off on some tangent and end up talking about something weird that nobody could relate to. So yeah, we appreciate you guys keeping us on track. Speaking of staying on track, we do have to get to that memory lane. So Dom, why don't you take us for a little walk?
All right, you all are lucky because I'm gonna keep beating a drum I've been beating, but this one is about my Pittsburgh Pirates. My Pirates have been losing for 30 years. I was a little 15-year-old kid. I was 13 when they started losing. Early 90s broke my heart, and we're starting to win again. And I'm in love, Tom. I'm in love. I'm in love like Dr. Tachi. I'm in love like Eddie Murphy and Coming to America. I'm in love. I'm in love. So anyway, here's a Paul Skeens bobblehead I got. He won the Cy Young. He's dating Livy Dunn. I was at a game the other day. Me and my son got tickets last minute another day, and they hit a walk-off home run, and we won in the bottom of the ninth. So, Tom, I'm just thrilled of this, that my childhood is back. Everything is good again, just like when I just like when I was a little boy loving baseball. So that's what you got today, Tom.
I appreciate it. I love it. I love the youthful excitement for rooting for your Pirates. I kind of wish, it makes me wish right now, because I got into basketball when I was in like middle school, and I was a big Knicks fan in middle school. I was watching, this was in the Ewing Stark era, basically the last time they went to the playoffs was sort of when I was a Knicks fan. And then I just kind of lost interest. I stopped watching and drifted away from it. It wasn't anything specific. I just kind of, life happened and I drifted away. And I'm a little bit jealous of your sort of continued fandom of the Pirates over the last 30 years, because if I had stuck with that fandom, I would be equally excited that the Knicks are in the playoffs. I am excited and I'm happy that they are, as I always am when a team, kind of turns things around after a long slump, because I think anybody would be excited. That's an exciting thing. But yeah, I kind of wish I had stuck with them that long. Unfortunately, I drifted away, but nonetheless, I'm happy and excited for the Knicks and for New York in basketball in general.
Tom, well said. You can come on my Pirate bandwagon if you wish. And I too have been a fan of the Knicks since the 90s, and my whole life right now is good. We're getting ready. We canceled plans tonight. No pickleball tonight because we are watching the Knicks. So I'm on all sports, but the Pirates are playing two at the same time. So this is going to be a difficult night for me and Tom.
Gotcha. Well, I hope you're able to balance watching the two games, and hopefully you'll be equally happy and excited for the outcomes of both.
Thank you. And an outcome we all want, Tom. We want the wrap up from Tom Langen of Talix Media. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I think I'm going to keep it really short and sweet and simple today. We're just a little bit over an hour now, so we want to kind of try to keep it close and tight. But ultimately, I just want to highlight for people that at the end of the day, resistance to change is futile. And what we're seeing happen in media is the outcome of an established media and industry infrastructure strenuously resisting change over time. Whether it's in broadcast media, in television, resisting the shift towards digital and streaming and away from traditional terrestrial television, or if it's in the film industry with an over-reliance on established franchises and an over-reliance and a resistance towards taking chances on new, interesting, creative, and fun ideas. The end result is essentially the same, and the end result is that change happens whether you want it to or not, and either you can move with the change and adapt to it and succeed in the new environment, or you can resist the change and you can be left behind. And so I think that's what I would leave everyone with. It's a question worth asking yourselves on an almost daily basis. Am I resisting the change? Am I going to be left behind, or am I moving forward with everyone else? So I'll leave everybody with that. Thank you all so much for being here. As always, Dom and I appreciate you guys. We appreciate you being part of this community, appreciate you being a part of this show. You guys are the reason that Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. So we thank you for that. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will see you next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern for yet another edition of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, have a great week. Have a great weekend. We love you all. Goodbye.